I still got a relationship with Puff. Whenever I talk to him, it's always gonna be the same. He ain't never been nothing to me but a good person. Outside of the Cassie situation, which, you know, I think they settled that, right? So he had that.
Oh, he settled it quick.
Right. So that means that he owned up to whatever it was that they had. And he took the responsibility to settle something that was in the media that needed to be settled, is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? So outside of that, all the extra it just seems like, so again, I don't know what's true, I don't know what's false, but I know that my rapport with Diddy has always been 100. He's always been a good to me. And I'm just reading headlines like you.
The Game, the notorious rapper from Compton, has a reputation for not always telling the truth. From his outlandish stories to his questionable relationships, the streets have been buzzing for years about his tendency to twist the facts.
It's whack because it's like, how do you think that a lie sounds better than the truth? Like the truth is the truth, like you're successful, bro, right? So that's all that anybody cares about, the end result, you being successful.
But recently, people are starting to ask some tough questions, especially about his alleged connection to music mogul Diddy. What's even more alarming, The Game has apparently been caught lying on camera multiple times, including about Diddy, a man whose scandals seem never-ending.
Been around Puff for millions of times, and I ain't never seen, you know, none of the that people are talking about, but that's just my experience.
Fans are even wondering, does Diddy have something on him? Is The Game protecting more than just his image? Let's be real, The Game isn't exactly known for keeping it 100%. Over the years, he's been caught lying more than a few times, whether it's about his career, street cred, or even personal relationships. And now, with questions swirling around Diddy's past, The Game has found himself in hot water once again for fiercely defending the Bad Boy Records CEO. Diddy has been embroiled in scandals for decades, from criminal accusations to whispers about his involvement in dark circles in the entertainment industry.
I still got a relationship with Puff. Whenever I talk to him, it's always gonna be the same. He ain't never been nothing to me but a good person.
But here's the twist. Many fans are beginning to believe The Game isn't just a loyal friend. He might be hiding something far more sinister. The Game has gone on record multiple times, saying that he's been around Diddy millions of times and that he's never seen anything shady. On the surface, this sounds like loyalty. But when you factor in Diddy's long history of scandal, The Game's defense starts to look a little suspicious.
I've been around Puff for millions of times, and I ain't never seen, you know, none of the that people are talking about, but that's just my experience. Outside of the Cassie situation, which, you know, I think they settled that, right? So he had that.
Oh, he settled it quick.
Right, so that means that he owned up to whatever it was that they had. He took the responsibility to settle something that was in the media that needed to be settled, is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? So outside of that, all the extra it just seems like...
One of the most eyebrow-raising aspects of this defense is the fact that The Game knows about the rumors that have been swirling around Diddy for years, especially the claims that Diddy has manipulated or coerced people within the industry. Yet, despite all of this, The Game continues to defend him. The question is, why?
You know, I think that there are several rappers that are in the closet and gay. And see, those are the type of gay people that, the only type of gay people I have a problem with.
One person who has called out The Game is Charleston White. Charleston even went as far as to suggest that anyone who has been around Diddy for a long time likely knows about his dark side, making The Game's continued loyalty even more questionable.
All you done seen, and you stayed quiet all this time, how you get to be a fly on the wall is what I want to know. Same with, like, I had Whack 100 one time. Who keep telling you all the gay secrets, nigga?
Could it be that The Game is protecting more than just a friendship? Well, some fans might think so. You see, one of the most bizarre rumors surrounding The Game and Diddy is the claim that Diddy took him shopping multiple times. This phrase might sound innocent enough, but in industry circles, it's often code for something far more sinister. Fans have speculated that Diddy might have compromising tapes or information on The Game, which could explain why The Game is so fiercely loyal to him. According to The Game, he rolled with Diddy for 2 years, but the Bad Boy Entertainment chief executive never took him to the studios to record a song. The Game even presented his demos to Diddy, but Diddy would just shut down the conversation and instead take The Game partying and clubbing.
I started kicking it with Diddy, right? I ran around with Diddy for 2 years, and this Diddy, we never went to the studio one time, but he was like, yo, I f with your demo, you know, bad boy, but hey, Playboy, hey, here go a watch, Playboy, here go a chain, Playboy. I'm like, yo, we ever gonna rap?
The My Life rapper continued that Diddy would take him shopping and buy him expensive gifts, including Rolex watches and gold chains. Meanwhile, the game continuously pressed Diddy to allow him enter a studio and do a song. But Diddy preferred traveling across the major cities in the country, chilling and shopping. They continued like this for about 2 years without ever recording a single song, which many fans found interesting. This was because rumors at the time suggested that the game wanted to sign on to Bad Boy Entertainment, which is why he was always seen in the company of Diddy. Fans thought the duo would strike a dynamic partnership, given the game was a sensational rapper and Diddy was a top producer. However, the fans' dreams never materialized, as Diddy apparently had other plans, which were far from recording music with the game. Diddy has been linked to many questionable situations over the years, including accusations of exploiting young artists for his gain. And with rumors swirling that Diddy has dirt on several industry figures, the game's eagerness to defend him takes on a whole new meaning. Is the game afraid of something? Is there a dark secret he doesn't want the public to know about? In any case, this is not the first time the game has been caught lying.
I'm not mad at all. Like, I don't give a f. Yeah. Just be honest, man.
Remember when he claimed to have dated certain high-profile women, only for them to deny it publicly? Or how about that time he said he was instrumental in discovering and helping major artists rise to fame, only for those very artists to shut him down? Yeah, it's been messy.
At least she has to miss Vern. She had no one like Vern before. She has to miss Vern.
But it doesn't stop there. The game's tendency to stretch the truth has led to some serious fallout in the industry. Rappers who once respected him are now distancing themselves, and some have even addressed his lies directly in interviews and diss tracks.
I'm not rich, I'm still lying. It's 50 Cent starring this game.
It's no secret that hip-hop is built on authenticity. Being real is everything, so when you've got someone like The Game, who's been caught lying more times than we can count, it's no wonder the respect is fading fast.
All you wanted to be hard to like blah. The Game didn't even smile for the first 8 years of his career, but lying trying to create a hustle.
The Game's habit of telling lies and sticking to them, even when the truth is obvious, has been getting him into trouble. It's not just about a rapper hyping himself up anymore, it's becoming a pattern that's making him look like an outsider in the industry he used to rule.
He like, what you mumbling? I'm like, fresh light, and Polly. He was like, let's lay that.
Whether he's doing it for attention or just can't help himself, the Game's reputation is taking a hit, and it's not looking great. Let's break down some of the biggest moments where he got caught in his own lies, and why the rap world might be done with him. One of the most infamous moments was when the Game claimed he was the one who discovered Kendrick Lamar. While he did take Kendrick on tour early in his career, saying he made Kendrick is a big stretch. Even Kendrick and others close to him have called him out on this. The backlash was quick, with fans and industry people accusing the Game of riding Kendrick's success to boost his own image. Another big moment was when the Game said he made it in the industry purely through hard work, no help. But then, West Coast hip-hop figure The Money came out and said that's not the whole story, revealing the Game had help from some big names. This further damaged his credibility, with more people starting to question how much of his story is true. But it doesn't stop there. Another major incident that raised eyebrows was when the Game talked about how he got started in the music industry. According to him, his rise was purely the result of hustle and talent. No handouts, no shortcuts. But then, enter The Money, an influential figure in West Coast hip-hop who dropped a bombshell by saying the Game wasn't exactly telling the whole truth. The Money claimed that the Game had significant help from major industry players, and that his from the streets to the studio story was more fiction than fact. This revelation further damaged the Game's reputation, leading many to believe he's been crafting a narrative that doesn't align with reality. With these incidents piling up, it's no wonder the Game's credibility is taking a serious hit, leaving fans and fellow artists questioning just how much of his story is actually real. And then one by one, he got started involved in beefing every other rapper because they were exposing him. One of the biggest moments that put the Game's honesty into question was his long-standing beef with 50 Cent. Let's start with the most notorious one, his feud with 50 Cent.
The Game situation was disappointing to me. You know, I put so much time and energy into that project. I worked hard on that project, man. I recorded 6 records on that album. Come back and appear to be unappreciative was incredible to me.
Streets are saying that the documentary was better than the massacre,
which it is. And 50 got jealous and kicked me out of G-Unit. And he thought that he could do what he did to Ja Rule to me. I could take him, man. 50's a jealous little girl, man.
Is that what happens?
Yeah, he's jealous. And somebody needs to braid his ponytail and put him back in his skirt. Because, I mean, he's obviously off his rocker, man.
Back in 2003, the hip-hop world was buzzing. 50 Cent had just set the industry on fire with his explosive debut album, Get Rich or Die Tryin'. As Eminem's protege, 50 was on top of the world, and everyone knew it. But you know Dr. Dre, he's never one to sit back and let someone else have all the glory. So while 50 was soaking up the spotlight, Dre had his eye on something, or should we say someone new. Meanwhile, The Game was a young artist grinding on the streets of Compton, selling mixtapes and hoping for a big break. Dr. Dre recognized his raw talent and brought him into the Aftermath team. They spent months in the studio working on what would become something major. But the real turning point came in August 2003, when The Game finally got into the studio with 50 Cent. That's when everything started to come together, setting the stage for what would be a game-changing moment in his career. Their first collaboration, a track called So Hard, was part of June at Radio 3's Taking It to the Streets mixtape. This wasn't just another track. This was The Game's G-Unit debut. And let's just say, it was the spark that lit the fuse. Despite their hard work, The Game still needed that extra push to break through the noise. That's when Jimmy Iovine, the music exec with the Midas touch, stepped in with a plan that would send The Game's career skyrocketing. Since 50 Cent was the hottest thing in rap, why not make The Game an official member of G-Unit? Dre loved the idea, pitched it to 50, and before you knew it, The Game was rolling with the G-Unit crew. The rest, as they say, is history. But oh, what a wild ride it was. It has been reported that the Interscope Records co-founder ignored The Game at the Los Angeles Lakers game. 50 Cent trolled the pair on his Instagram, sharing a clip of Levine avoiding The Game. The caption said, "LOL, the man did not even look at him. Get this guy out of here, 50 wrote the records." By July 2004, Dr. Dre was pushing his West Coast protege, The Game, into the spotlight, leading to the release of the Fifth Element mixtape. At the same time, 50 Cent was working on his album The St. Valentine's Day Massacre, set for a February 2005 release. Meanwhile, The Game was crafting his debut album, originally titled N-Words with an Attitude Volume 1 but later renamed The Documentary. Interestingly, 50 Cent even muted his vocals on some of his own tracks and gave them to The Game to ensure the documentary's success. But by early 2005, tensions between the two began to rise.
His way of patching it up was, I don't have a problem with Jay-Z or Fat Joe or anybody. And it was like, I'm busy patching this thing up that you just did, and you come back and you say you don't have a problem even with the people that I have issues with.
Tensions between 50 Cent and The Game hit a boiling point when The Game started pushing for the documentary to drop before 50's highly anticipated second album. This didn't sit well with 50, who had to grudgingly delay the St. Valentine's Day Massacre until March, and you can bet that left a bitter taste in his mouth. By January 28, 2005, when Hate It or Love It dropped, things were already on shaky ground. In the music video, fans couldn't help but notice that 50 refused to sit in the front seat of the lowrider with The Game, an obvious sign that something was seriously off between the two. But the real breaking point came when The Game made it clear that he didn't have any beef with Nas, Fat Joe, and Jadakiss, three artists who were firmly on 50 Cent's enemy list at the time. To 50, this was the ultimate betrayal, a slap in the face from someone who was supposed to be part of the G-Unit family. The final nail in the coffin? During an interview with Ed Lover on Power 105.1, 50 Cent let loose on The Game, airing out their dirty laundry for everyone to hear. And in a dramatic live moment, 50 officially kicked The Game out of G-Unit right there on the airwaves. The fallout was as public as it was explosive, marking the end of what could have been one of the most powerful alliances in hip-hop history.
He came back recently from overseas and was disrespectful, man. Like the way he's like, it's like he's feeling himself, like because of how well his record is selling.
The drama between 50 Cent and The Game reached a fever pitch that fateful day. After 50 blasted The Game's disloyalty during an interview with Funkmaster Flex at Hot 97, The Game, still in New York and fuming, decided to confront him. With a crew of gang members in tow, The Game headed straight to the radio station, and what followed was nothing short of a Hollywood-style showdown. A shootout erupted between the game's crew and 50 Cent's entourage, leaving one of the game's guys with a bullet in the leg. Amid the chaos, 50 Cent made a hasty escape through the back door, avoiding what could have been a much worse situation. But just when everyone thought the beef had reached an irreparable point, something unexpected happened. A couple of days later, 50 Cent and the game stood side by side in a surprising act of unity. They made a donation to the Boys Choir of Harlem and the Compton Unified School District music program, even going as far as to embrace and publicly declare their feud over. For a moment, it seemed like peace had been restored. The calm didn't last. By Summer Jam 2005, the game was back to causing chaos, shocking fans and industry insiders by dissing 50 Cent and G-Unit on stage. To make his point clear, he ripped off his G-Unit chain and threw it into the crowd, signaling his exit from the group. This bold move kicked off his relentless anti-G-Unit campaign, igniting one of hip-hop's most notorious feuds.
Straight the f*** out of Compton, and I got love for New York.
Weeks later, the game dropped You Know What It Is Volume 3, featuring 300 bars and Runnin', a 15-minute diss aimed at 50 Cent and G-Unit, cementing their bitter rivalry.
But the game situation was disappointing to me. You know, I put so much time and energy into that project. I worked hard on that project, man. I recorded 6 records on that album.
The game wasn't done yet. He cranked up the intensity with the Ghost Unit mixtape, another project laser-focused on dismantling G-Unit piece by piece. Meanwhile, 50 Cent couldn't let it slide, and at the end of the track, Emotional on the June at Radio 14. Back to Business mixtape, he finally took his shot back, throwing shade right at the game. The diss tracks and public jabs continued flying from both sides, keeping their feud alive and burning hot. But the game's departure from G-Unit had more than just musical consequences. It put a serious strain on his relationship with Dr. Dre, with millions on the line. Dre had to make a tough business decision, which ultimately meant pulling back on his support for the game. Many thought this would be the end of the game's rise, but he proved them wrong in a big way. In 2006, just a year after his explosive debut, the game dropped Doctor's Advocate. Without Dre's guidance or 50 Cent's contributions, the game delivered a stellar album that not only silenced the critics but also proved he could stand tall on his own. It was a bold statement that the game was here to stay, no matter who was or wasn't in his corner. Behind the scenes, though, things weren't as bitter as they seemed. Despite the public fallout, the game and Dr. Dre managed to keep a healthy relationship. By the time the Red Album hit the shelves in 2011, the game revealed that Dre was still in his corner, offering vital feedback and showing that their bond, while tested, was far from broken. The game's journey was a testament to his resilience, showing that even in the ruthless world of hip-hop, it's possible to survive and thrive through the drama.
Dre always told me, no matter what happens, no matter what is said in the media, me and you are always going to be the same as we were the last time we had an in-person conversation.
For years, the game's loyalty to Dr. Dre seemed unbreakable. Even after their official ties weakened, the game consistently showed deep gratitude toward Dre, often boasting about their close bond. Despite occasional tensions, he always expressed admiration for Dre. However, in the unpredictable world of hip-hop, bonds can snap. The game's relationship with Dre slowly unraveled, not from one event but due to emotional outbursts. The biggest sign of this rift came during the 2022 Super Bowl halftime show, where Dre performed with many artists but noticeably left the game out, despite it being in Los Angeles. At first, the game played it cool, acting unbothered by the snub. But anyone familiar with the game knew it was only a matter of time before his true feelings surfaced. Eventually, he admitted that being left out did sting. The situation highlighted just how far his relationship with Dre had fallen. A painful reminder that in the world of hip-hop, loyalty and respect must be carefully maintained, or they can slip away, leaving even the most devoted behind.
They've been on a Detroit Super Bowl or a New York Super Bowl. It just wouldn't have happened. LA, all around the Super Bowl.
This admission flipped a switch, opening the floodgates for the game to cross a line he had never crossed before, discrediting Dr. Dre. The rapper, who had once penned a heartfelt tribute to Dre on his second album, now downplayed Dre's impact on his career and life as if it were insignificant.
But as far as like doing a beat for the documentary, no. And I've never had a Dre beat in my career. I've never had a song with Dre on it and Dre been in my video. Snoop has a ton.
Him has a ton. I don't have none.
Soon he was claiming that Kanye West, a man he had previously beefed with over explicit lyrics about Kanye's then-wife Kim Kardashian, had done more for his career than Dre ever did.
When you see Game say, yo, Dre never did nothing for me. I remember Dre being in the studio and giving you them hits, bro.
The world collectively rolled its eyes at this comment, and those who witnessed the Game's early days with Aftermath were quick to call him out.
Cost him his most valued connection in hip-hop, and now he's tried to walk it back while trying to save face at the same time.
In an interview on Vlad TV, the Compton rapper discussed his controversial comments and the reaction to them from the Aftermath Entertainment founder. At that time, Yeah was doing a lot for me that he didn't necessarily have to do, and Yeah has always been there for me and always had my back, he said. What I can say about Dre is Dre ain't always had my back, for good reason. Dre has to protect the interests of Dr. Dre, and there's times when Yeah had to protect the interests of Yeah, but he didn't give a f***. He'd rather just go to bat for me. By publicly disparaging the man who had given him a major break, the Game effectively burned his most valued bridge in hip-hop. He has since tried to walk back his comments, attempting to save face, but the damage was done.
A blessing that I shall not ever on that again. Compton, LA, and it is what it is. It's just that I should have gave him more grace with what he actually did do, and that was mentor me and do things that nobody else could have done for me in my career.
In the aftermath of the Super Bowl snub, the Game internalized a lot of animosity towards Dre. He even used this bitterness to justify some of his actions, like claiming that his diss towards Eminem was just another way to get back at Dre.
And ultimately destroyed Dre's respect for the Game. Because just like he went at M as a proxy for Dre, Game has also sought to undermine Kendrick in ways that land somewhere between jealousy and anger.
If this were an isolated incident, perhaps Dre could have let it go. But it was part of a larger pattern of behavior that ultimately destroyed Dre's respect for the Game. The Game's attempts to undermine Kendrick Lamar were another factor in Dre's distancing. Saluted by Kendrick and Black Boy Fly as a rapper he looked up to, the Game was present when the torch was passed to Kendrick by Snoop Dogg. Over the years, Kendrick collaborated with the Game on several tracks, and it seemed like they were on good terms. However, at every turn, the Game appeared to downplay Kendrick's skills, whether out of competitiveness or jealousy.
And while this may have potentially contributed to Dre's gradual distancing from the Game, what really didn't help his case was refusing to stand by the West Coast when it came to the Kendrick and Drake beef. While Dre was out there providing the intro to Not Like Us, the Game actively took Drake's side.
Once again, the Game let alcohol influence his actions, fostering potential problems with another of Dre's proteges. This, along with his refusal to stand by the West Coast during Kendrick's beef with Drake, contributed to Dre's gradual distancing. While Dre provided the intro to Not Like Us, the Game took Drake's side and wasn't present at Kendrick's pop-up show that symbolized West Coast unity. This absence raised questions and added to the reasons why Dre no longer respects him. Despite the Game's attempts to control his narrative, it's easy to see why Dre has distanced himself. The Game has dissed nearly every major rapper associated with Aftermath, and his unpredictable nature has proven hazardous. His disloyalty and ungratefulness have made it clear to Dre that maintaining ties with the Game is more trouble than it's worth. At this point, it's clear that the Game's connection to Diddy is more than just a simple friendship. From the multiple lies he's been caught in, to the suspicious shopping trips, to the industry insiders who claim that anyone close to Diddy must know something, it's becoming harder to ignore the elephant in the room. Fans are now questioning whether the Game's lies and contradictions are part of a larger cover-up. If Diddy really does have tapes or information that could ruin the Game, it would explain why he's so willing to lie, on camera no less, to protect him. So what happens next? As more people come forward with stories about Diddy's past, the Game might find himself in an even tougher spot. His lies and contradictions are piling up, and the fans are starting to catch on. Will the Game continue to protect Diddy, or will the truth finally come out? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, the Game's history of lies and his suspicious loyalty to Diddy are starting to raise more questions than answers. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.